And welcome back. We are certainly making headway now as we work through this homepage, converting a HTML file to a WordPress theme. If you remember last time, we just finished off our facts section. So let me open that up for you. So we were here, and in this code, I'm just going to delete those placeholders that I didn't do in the last video. And now we are up to the services, which we're going to create a custom post type for. So what we want to do is go over to our inc folder, include folder, and we're going to add in services -cpt custom post type -php. Now I'm going to go into my other starters here. I'm just going to get that starting to get the if we access it directly, it just X's out. It's not, we're not allowed to. All right, so now this is, I want to show you a tool, online tool. It's called WP Hasty. So hasty.com/tools. I'll drop the link in the description. And if we go to custom post type generator, we can create our own custom post type. So we're going to call it a service. We're going to go to services. We're not going to give it a description or anything like that. We don't want to exclude it from search. It's not hierarchical. It's going to be publicly queryable. It's not going to have an archive page. So you won't be able to go to, because if we look at the live demo, or do we have a services? Hang on, let me just double check that. If we go to the menu. No, see, so we've only got this. So, okay, well, we'll do an archive page. We will add an archive page. It has an archive. We're going to make it publicly queryable, show UI, show in menu. Yeah, we want them to be able to add them to the menu options if they want. Show in admin bar, we can leave it up there. Show in nav, sorry, that's the admin menu. Show in nav menus is when they can pick it. Can they export it? Yes. Where do we want it to sit in? That's in here. So you can see below posts, and when you click, see the different one below pages, below links and things like that. So we'll add it to, so that's where it appears in this sidebar. So if we just open that up a bit. So where do we want it to sit? We want to set it below post, which we rename news. That's part of the theme, is to rename it as news. Or I'm going to put it below pages. So in here, I'm going to go below, which is position 20, below pages. Now, what do we want to support in here? For now, I'm going to do title, which if we go into, like, let's go into add a new news article, right? This is, because this is a post type. Let's go add a new news. So we got the title, we got the content editor, any categories that are assigned to it, any tags or featured image. So in this case, we're going to go, let's add excerpt, featured image. We don't care about revisions, formats, or anything like that. So we're not going to add any taxonomies to this, and it's just going to be default. So we're going to go in here, we're going to copy that in. We're going to paste that into our services custom post type. So as we were adding the content in here, this was all updated. So you can see singular name service. So if I change this, you can see it's changed there, right? And our post type key changed. Yeah. So we only need it to be service. All right. If you want to change, if you add the text domain, so you can see these are translatable, and the text domain is text domain. So I normally like to just go translate. That's just, I don't know why, but I always just do it as translate. So we'll just change that out. Oops, where do we go? Paste that in. So now it's, copy, paste. So now it's all translate for translation purposes. All right, so the next thing I like to do is instead of create service custom post type, which is quite generic, I always like to prefix my function. So I'm going to go down, Control Shift L just to get that. Simply create custom post type. Save that because that will have changed down here. The next thing we do is we need to flush permalinks. So if we go into WordPress flush permalinks, flush rewrite rules. So that's the function we want to add into the bottom of, after we register our post type, we want to reset the flush rules. Now I'm going to show you, just by adding that in, now I'm going to show you what that does. So if we go and refresh our page now, here's our services. So we didn't pick our icon. Let's pick our icon. So what's a service icon? I don't know. Let's do the network icon. I'm pretty sure there's a network icon that sort of, I don't know, looks like a, if I can find it. Have I gone past it already? That's what I'm looking for, the networking icon. So dash icons dash network is the icon, which is populated there, but rather than just refresh the whole thing, I'm going to go and find that menu icon and I'm going to put that in there. So now when we refresh, you can see that comes in. So if we go and add a new service, and we go create a service, right, we go publish, and we go and view our icon, it's a 404, see, 404 not found. So what we would have, because this URL doesn't exist in the WordPress ecosystem, what we would have to do is go into settings, flush that permalinks, and then when we go to services and then we go and view that, hey look, now it's there. But so what this flush rewrite rules does, it allows us to dynamically create this custom post type, and that flush rewrite rules serves the same function as going in and saving those permalinks. So it just saves us that one step. So if we forget to do that, when we go on view, it'll still be there. We won't go 404 and go, oh my God, what's going on? So that's how we're going to do it. Now, what if we wanted to use a custom icon? Well, you could use an SVG as your icon. That is absolutely no problem at all. What you would need to do is convert that SVG into a base 64 image attribute. Now that's not hard to do. There is a guide to doing that, but I'm not going to do it for this, for the sake of this tutorial. We're just going to leave it as dash icons. Alright, so in our services now, we want to create, in our home page, let's just drag this back in to make it sit alongside my code there. So in our services, we've got the title and a description. So let's go into our settings, and what we're going to do is we want our ACF fields, field groups. Just going to close all these other stuff down for now. Now we're not going to work in the home page, we're going to work in the service. And we're going to add an icon, front icon, service icon. And we're going to go icon. And we can leave that as icon because we're only going to have one icon in the service. We're not going to set a default icon. And what we want to do is, if post type is service, apply this to our post type, and we want to put this in the sidebar. So when we're editing our service, so we'll go back to our service here, all services, and we go and edit this service, we can see we've now got an icon. So we want the search icon for this one. So let's change this name. Let's do this now. We want SEO optimization. Now I'm in Australia, so I'm going to correct that spelling. For you Americans, we'll change that URL as well, so that will no longer be valid. And we want magnifying glass. And for our description, we're just going to put that in, and we're going to use our excerpt, because remember we included that in the in our custom post type. We go back out over to our custom post type here. We got title, editor, excerpt. Editor is the content editor. excerpt is this, and thumbnail is the featured image, which we're not going to be using, but you could use it for SEO. So that's why, so when it gets shared to social media and things like that, that's the image that appears. That's why I put it in there. Okay, so that's that one done. Update. Let's add a new service, and this one is web design. Icon is laptop code. Laptop code, and it's the same. Oops. That one. Same excerpt, publish. Now we'll go and add a new one. Social media marketing. This icon is Facebook. And it's just the F, Facebook F. And same description for the excerpt, publish. Next one will be email marketing. Oops, that didn't publish yet. There we go. Add new, email marketing. And this one is, I can't remember what that was. Envelopes group, I think. Envelope bulk. There's our excerpt. Let's add a new one. I've got that in there. And this one is PPC, pay-per-click advertising. And this icon is thumbs up. It's solid though, isn't it? It is solid. Publish. The next one is the last one, app development. And that icon is Android, which is the, for you Apple users, that is the logo for Google Android phones, which is now being replaced with that one. So I might make it a mobile. Publish. Cool. So now we've got all, so if we go back to all our services, we have all our services in and created. Now, we could go back to our homepage field groups. We'll go back to field groups and we'll go back to our homepage, and now we're working on the, so now we're in the services archive page. Now we go back to the homepage. So in the homepage, you can see here's our services. So we have a pre-heading, we have a heading, and then we have each of our services. Cool. So let's close our services custom post type and our features, and let's go into our HTML, and we go index.html. Now I'm going to do something a little different. All right. So here's our services start. So let's just grab that for now. Let's go to our home page template part, and we'll go services.php. We'll paste that in, and I'll do my normal format it to make it nice and neat and tidy, and we'll save that. Now I'm also going to go into my template parts, create another folder and call services, and in that services I'm going to create a card. And then we're going to go back to our services, and that is our card there. Now, why am I doing it this way? Well, if you remember the archive page, when we're on our front end, in the services page, these are the same. So we're only going to do this once, and we're going to call it in everywhere. So here, so I'm just going to, that's our wrapper. We're going to go through here. Why did that not give me? That's my. So that's my closing PHP. And in here we're going to do PHP get template part, and we're going to go template parts. We're going to get the services, and then we're going to get the card. So even though we're on the home page, we're getting that template. So if we do, and then if we go to our front page, we get our services. You can see we only have one card, and that's because we're not looping yet. All right, so this will all make sense hopefully. But for now, all we need to know is we're calling in the services. We've created that services section, and then we're looping through and getting the card. So we're going to loop. We're going to create a query here to get them all. So here we go. So let's go and create that. So first we will just create some arguments, an arguments array. So this is to query the services. So post type equals service. And how do I know the post type? Because if we look at our services, we can see the post type is service. That's what we called it. Post type is service. We want status to only be publish. Is it status or is it post publish? Let's just go get post. This is a WordPress function. Get posts. There we go. So here's our args. So number posts we're going to do in a second. Here we go. It is post type, and I thought it was post. Number post type. Maybe it only gets it by. Maybe it only does it by default. Okay, so maybe it only gets published by default. So we'll not worry about status for that. It might be for custom, because I know for queries you have to define that. So number posts. So go back up. Number posts, and how many posts do we want? Now we want them all. So if you look here, it retrieves posts per page, accepts -1 for all, and it is the default of 5. So it will return 5 at a time if I don't include this, but we want them all, -1. And if you look, scroll down, and it says some other contributed examples. So we got number post, 10, post type, book. Now we're not going to query by any meta queries, but what I want to do is I want to order by menu order, and I know there is an example in here. Have I gone past it yet? Have I gone past it? Past it? No. Order by, order by, order by, order by, order by. No. I know I saw it here. Let's just do a Control F, and I'm in here, clicking in Control F, and go menu order. Here we go. Order by menu order ascending. Now, what does that mean? So let's just copy all of that as our args. Everyone does that all the time. So what that means is whatever order it is displayed in here is how it will output in the front end. So there are plugins that allow you to drag and drop the order of these. So we're going to do that in a minute, because if you remember, we want the SEO optimization first in our service. SEO optimization is actually last. We could do it in descending, by menu order descending, or we could just make it in any order we want. So I'm going to ascending, so it goes this one with first, second, third, fourth, like that. Then we want to go, so we want to go services equals get posts, and pass out arguments to that. Now, if services, so if there are services, let's do this. So if there are services, then we're going to do this. What we also want to do here is, if we go back to here, scroll to the top, see our top example, the default example. First example, here we go, get posts, rated fields, IDs, latest posts, latest books, yeah, no. If we scroll through one of these examples, we'll have it. Let's have a look. Is it in this example? No. But we want to reset, there it is, WP reset post data. Okay, that's what we want to add here. So that way, what that does is when you're within a query, custom WordPress query, you need to escape that query to continue on to the last query. So if you're doing, so we're injecting this custom query partway through the home page. So if we were in this query, and we did a get ID, it would not necessarily get the ID of the page we're on, but it will get the ID of the post we're looping through. So it's not as bad when you're using get post as opposed to custom queries, which we haven't got to yet. But when we get to that, we'll go through it. But always, whenever you're doing a query, whether it's get post or a WP query, always finish it off with a reset post data. Best practice, don't ever mess that up. Get in the habit, always add it in regardless of when you're working. Whenever you're doing a custom query of the database through WordPress, always reset that post data. All right, go away. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we've got our services. So now we want to go for each services as service. I'm not going to close off this PHP. I want to put that on a new line because now we're working within PHP. I will put it at the end. Close it off now. All right, so now for each service, we're passing that through. So if we refresh now, we will see this as however many posts there are. See? Now that's all working. We get all the cards, but they're all the same value. What we need to do is go set query variable, and we want to call this as service. So we're going to a sticky key pop up on my window. We're going to call this service. And we want to pass that service variable to that query to that. So what we're doing is we're creating a query variable called service, and we're passing service through it. If we Google that, that's a WordPress function. Set query variable, and we can pass whatever we want value through it. What do you want to call it? And the value. All right, so you can see here's an ID. Here's an example. Then in that, you can see here in that example, we're getting that query variable. So in our card, up the top here, service equals get query variable and service. So in our now we're passing that value through to that template part. So if we var dump here service, you can see it's there, our object. So we can go if service end if. Alright, so now we can go, if you look at our, so we can go equals service, it's an object, not an array. We can see we've got a post title. Post title. If we look, we've got our post title. Here's our excerpt, post excerpt. So we can go equals service post excerpt. Now here's a link to that post type. Now there is no link. They do have this GUI ID, which is not our service link. So what we need to do is we need to use a WordPress function called get the permalink. And in this get the permalink function, we need to pass the ID. So we're going to go equals, we're going to go post, and you can see here the ID is that. We could just, actually, we could probably just do, no, I'm going to pass the, so we go service ID. So now if we refresh, we got rid of our button, yep, refresh. There we go. So now we're getting each different one, and they're linking off to the correct link. Yep. So now we're just going to do the icon. So here we go to go icon equals get field icon, and we want to pass through. Actually, I want to set the ID up here. I'm going to go ID equals service ID. Because we're going to use this twice, we don't have to do the query twice. So here we can just pass through that ID now. So service ID, get icon, and we want to pass through that ID. We want to get it from that, the ID of this service post type. There we go. And we want to make it empty. Also want to check, did I make that field groups? Let's go back to that field group. Let's go to that service icon and edit. And we want to return the class. Save. So we'll just go in and edit, 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 edit. Update, 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 update. Because we have to update these to change the value in the database. Cool. There we go. So now if we var dump icon, we should see, whoops, not that, we should see our icon. Okay. So in here, so we'll go PHP if icon does not equal empty string, and in here we're going to go icon. Let's get rid of our var dump, output this, and there we go. There's all our different icons all working. So we haven't made this dynamic yet, but we'll get to there. So what can we do for this? But just to recap, by setting the query variable service, every time we want to use this card, we just do that same thing, and we don't have to do that again. It'll just work once every time. So it'll speed up the process when we get to the archive page, or any other time we want to use the services card, this card. All right. So the next thing is we can leave this as our services. But what about the once again, we've got this H1 pull for. Fix that, done. All right. So now what do we want to do? So what we can do is we've got a couple of different options. We can set it in the home page, and which is quite fine. We can set that by default, which I might do actually. The other thing we could do is just leave our services and set that the solutions we provide, we can have that all hard coded if we wanted to. But I'm going to do it so everything is variable. So we'll go back to our field groups, go back to our home, and in here we're going to go tab, because we're working in our services now. Left aligned. And in here we're going to go pre-heading. Services pre-heading. And I'm going to set that as our services. Is that what we've got there? Yep. And then in the next one, we're going to do a text area. We're going to go description. We'll go heading. Sorry, not description. Services heading. And we could set a default value if we wanted to. But I'm not. I'm not going to set a default value actually. And we can save that. And then when we go to edit our homepage and go to our services, we've got that there. Oh, I want to change that, sorry. Go to that description heading, presentation. Make that 2 rows and automatically add breakpoints. Save, update, there we go. So now we can go pre-heading equals get field. Actually, we'll do this inside the services. So if we're not, so basically if there's no services, we're not even going to get this value. And we're going to about us. And then we want heading. Oh no, we've got services pre-heading. If I remember rightly, is that what we called it? Services pre-heading. And then the next one is services heading. And that is empty. Cool. Cool. So now for the heading, we're going to go PHP if pre-heading equals empty string. I always want a pre-heading there. Duplicate that. Else. So if it is empty, we're going to output it as it was, hard coded. Else PHP, and in here we're going to echo the pre-heading. We did about us, which should be about our services. What did I do wrong there? That should be. What have I done? So we've got PHP class. Something wrong. Oh, I haven't done anything else. Else. That's what it is. Haven't done anything else. Cool. There we go. The next one we're going to do is if heading does not equal empty, because we are going to have an empty. We have allowed for there to be an empty one. Then we're just going to output that heading. W in there. Cool. So, have a look. Copy that because we haven't put it in there yet. So if we update now and we refresh, you can see we haven't got the heading. We add that heading in. Refresh. There we go. So now that's all working and that's all linking off. We aren't going to create the single page for these just yet. We'll do that when we do the archive page. We might do that in maybe not in our next video. We'll finish off the home page first. So the next section we've got is this newsletter. And then we've got completed projects. And we've got another custom post type after that, which is using a featured image. So in the next step, we'll output this newsletter field and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.